You're going to want to sit down for this one. Boop, 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 boop.
Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another gingerrunner.com review. An interesting one today. As always, with every single one of my reviews, I promise that they will be unbiased, unsponsored, coming from an objective, honest perspective. That being said, today, I'm about to get real honest. We are going to review the Apple Watch Series 2 Nike Plus Edition. First of all, I had to wait a bit to get the Nike Plus Edition. It's not that much different than the regular Series 2, so there's no point in waiting. It comes with Nike-designed watch faces and this unique strap. That's it. I ended up getting the 38mm version just because you save a couple dollars. I don't recommend doing that because the watch is too small. If you are even interested in getting it, get the 42mm version. I like that this watch is super compact and really light, but the screen is just, it's too small. I'm gonna take it off my wrist. Okay, if you are a casual runner, someone that's really into tech, but you just kind of want to track your occasional activity, you may want to look into this watch. If you care at all about data collection, accuracy, or trust in your device, this device is not for you. My time with this watch, while limited, has been nothing short of tedious. Before we even get into the bulk of the review, know that I'm coming to this watch from a sport and running perspective. Here's the deal, I love tech. Seriously, I do. I try to adopt everything new, cutting edge, fresh, and innovative, except for Snapchat, because I suck at Snapchat, and the user interface is terrible. I also have to recognize that my needs might be different than most. I'm not a typical 9-to-5er looking for a text message or browsing photos or being able to answer a phone call on my wrist. That is not my priority. In fact, that's actually why I have a smartphone, because I like to do all that big stuff on this. I do like my watch to serve two functions. I want it to be able to tell time and to be able to track and keep track of all my sports and running related activity data. So how does the Apple Watch Series 2 fare in that regard? First of all, telling time? Nails it. This watch can tell time, and in some of the prettiest ways that I have seen on any watch face. Now, as for tracking sports data, it's a bit like me approaching an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet. I try to eat everything. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, but the more I eat, it just makes it worse. If you have seen my reviews before, you know that the format tends to fall into the likes and dislikes category. I will be getting to that in just a bit. If you are new to this review, welcome. You're probably already in the market for this watch. You've done a lot of your research already. So for time purposes, I'm going to spare you all of the technical details. You most likely already know about the S2 chip, the 1000 nits of brightness, gigs of storage, etc. All of the marketing hype and PR specs are readily available across the internet, so if you haven't already, there's plenty of places to find that stuff. This review will be all about real-world experience with this watch as a running-oriented tracking device. The goal of this review will be to determine if the Apple Watch Series 2 is a worthy GPS-enabled running watch. For all of the comparisons in this video, I've been using my Ambit 3 Peak from Suunto as a baseline just because this thing has been with me for years now, being able to track all of my activities from 100-mile runs, all ultras, hundreds of runs accurately with not a single problem. Is it a smartwatch? Not necessarily, but it sure can be had for less money than this, and is tried and true in my experience. And not sure if I was going to keep or return this watch. I had to make sure that all of this review took place within a 2-week period, because you only have 14 days to return the device. So let's get on with this, shall we? Here are the things that I like and dislike about the Apple Watch Series 2. Starting with things that I like. In-watch GPS. Finally! This was my major gripe with the Series 1. It did not have in-watch GPS. You would not be able to go out on a run without your phone and be able to track it through the accurate GLONASS GPS technology. This, however, incorporates GPS into the watch so you can leave your phone at home and you can track your activity. That's a plus. Water resistance. Obviously. I like to be able to run in the rain. I like to be able to take a shower with the watch on my wrist. 50 meters of water resiliency is fantastic. About time Apple got the memo that most of their devices should come water resistant minimum. The new Apple iPhone 7s also have the water resistance, so it's good to see that that's making its way across the product line. The screen. This screen is awesome. Those 1000 nits of brightness, very apparent. Here in Los Angeles, the sky can be very bright at times because the sun, it's there. And the screen is crystal clear. You can read all of your data very easily. It's a very high resolution screen. It's small, but very bright, very readable, very good. And easily my biggest like with this watch that absolutely separates it from any other watch, and probably one of the main reasons you would even consider this watch, apps. Basically any app that you can get in the Apple Store and download to your smartphone, there is a version of which you can put onto your watch. This is great because if there's a built-in app in the Apple Watch that just doesn't meet your needs, there will most likely be an app in the store that can and will. Just an example, there are dozens of running apps in the Apple Store that you can download, put on this watch, and use as tracking devices. You don't just have to use the built-in or the Nike Plus. There will be eventually a Strava Run app that works with the Apple Watch 2, as well as many others. I really could talk about apps all day long. Obviously a huge like with this watch. Helps it completely separate itself from the competition. All that being said, here are the things that I dislike about the Apple Watch Series 2. This list is long, so I apologize, and I don't apologize, I don't. Inaccurate GPS and heart rate. This is the biggest kicker of all of the dislikes. It's not just inaccurate, but it's inconsistent with its inaccuracy. So over time, with each run that I ran on this watch and my Ambit 3, you can see the GPS drift. If you are someone that cares about accurate data, you want to run 10 miles, you don't want to run 9.8 or 9.9 miles, you want your full 10 miles, you're getting drift in this watch and you're not going to truly achieve those distances. In my experience, I ran a couple 4-mile runs. The Apple Watch Series 2 was off by a minimum of 1/10 of a mile. A 9-mile run was off by nearly 1/4 of a mile. I have not yet run a marathon with it. I just couldn't bear to bring this thing out there for a long run purely because of the inaccuracies. But do the math and you could be off by potentially 1/2 mile or more. That's mind-blowing. Now let's also talk about the heart rate. First of all, it will take a couple of miles before your heart rate becomes level. You'll be able to get a good baseline reading. The Apple Watch Series 2 was jumping, give or take, 10 or 20 BPMs in both directions, while my Ambit 3 was tracking with a heart rate strap at a fairly standard baseline. Listen, I love the ability to track heart rate through these little laser optics on your wrist. I think it's cool. It's technology that is fairly new to the market, but man, if this is any indication as to its accuracy, I'm going to stick with the heart rate strap until this stuff starts getting dialed in. It was all over the place. As a data collection device, you can't have it be inaccurate, even by a small margin. It's just going to bug you. Last thing you want to do is math while you're running. Another big gripe, battery life. This will probably be the one inconsistent thing across multiple reviews of this watch, just because everyone's battery life will be different based off of how many apps you're running simultaneously, if the watch is connected to the phone, weather conditions. However, I hope everyone is in agreement. The charge in this watch is devoured as fast as a pile of churros. Nailed it. After a 45-minute run with the Apple Watch and the Ambit 3, with one app open and collecting heart rate data, the watch lost nearly 20% battery, from 77 to 58. If you do the math, that's about 3 hours and 45 minutes of total battery life of tracking. That can get some people through a marathon. That can also stress a lot of people out during a marathon. Is my watch going to survive? And for many of you, it won't last the duration of a marathon. And that's a problem because you can't even charge it on the run. You could technically charge this while you run, but you won't need to because it lasts a long time. And again, those battery results will vary depending on if it's connected to your phone. If you're carrying your phone, if you are, then the phone battery is also going to reduce itself considerably because it's connected to the wire. There's all sorts of equations and calculations that you need to take into account, which is the last thing you want to do when you're trying to go for a run, is worrying if your watch is going to survive or if you charged it enough the hours leading up to your run. Bottom line, you will need to charge this watch every single day, if not more than once a day. Many of you expect that, and that's fine. I, however, don't like to baby my watch that much and worry about plugging it in every night before I go to sleep. It's annoying. Touchscreen. I have the 38mm version Apple Watch Series 2. I highly recommend the bigger one if you're going to do this because this screen is small. And as a touchscreen, you have to have some tiny little digits to get some of those numbers and to unlock it and all that good stuff. To activate or turn on the watch while it's on your wrist, you either need to rotate your wrist, hopefully in an accurate manner, press one of the buttons, or touch the screen. So while you're running, if you rotate the wrist and it doesn't turn on, you need to touch it. It just becomes problematic every time you have to touch your watch or move a button or do something to activate it just to see the data, as opposed to just being able to quickly turn your wrist, see the data accurately, and continue on your run. Having to cross arms over the body while you're trying to do a speed work, trust me, it's annoying, especially when you have to do it frequently. You add in sweaty fingers and you got all sorts of problems. Slippery-doo! My favorite dislike. Water and the touchscreen. I like that it's water resistant, that's fantastic, but trust me, if it gets wet, you're screwed. I have a wonderful memory of being in the shower and this thing just started talking to me because Siri thought I was touching everything on the screen and asking her to tell me what I was touching. Guess what? That wasn't. We had a great conversation and I couldn't shut her up because everything was wet and nothing worked. Just about threw it in the toilet and flushed it down. But then I remembered I have to return it. It does have a water mode, which is great, but you have to remember to turn it on every time you get into a shower or out into the rain, at which point you will have to also try to reactivate it to do anything on your watch, in which case you're already running into problems with the watch going berserk because the screen is wet. Get ready to carry a dry cloth with you everywhere you go so you can continue to dry it off, dry your finger, be able to interact with the watch itself. GPX export. Guess what? You can't do it. If you track any of your activities with the built-in activity tracker, you will only be able to look at those activities on your phone or your watch. You can't export a GPX file and upload to Strava. Currently, Strava's app does not work with the Apple Watch Series 2, but once they come out with that new app, you will be able to just track your run directly into the app, which is good. The Nike Plus app also does the same thing. It allows you to keep it all within the app. But with the built-in activity tracker, you cannot export GPX, and that's like, come on. Notifications. You have to pay a lot of attention to your watch, because if it's not on silent mode, your watch will just start beeping and making random noises whenever you least expect it. Whether you're sitting at the DMV and your watch starts telling you you have a new text message, or if you accidentally fall asleep with the watch on your wrist and it tells you to stand up and breathe at 3 in the morning, and then at 3:30, and then at 4, and you're just so tired that you forget to continue to turn it off. And then you get mad at yourself because you didn't take the watch off before you went to bed and put it on its charger, and it's going to be out of batteries by the time you wake up anyways, and you just get so mad, and you're sleeping, you're trying to sleep, but you're angry, so you just get up and you go eat. You should not make life more difficult. You're supposed to make it easy. Multiple tracking apps. You can outrun the internal activity tracker and the Nike Plus app, for example. One will cancel the other out. If one app is able to track your run and another app is able to track your elevation or any of your mountain gain, anything like that, you're gonna have to choose one or the other. You can't actually do both. You can run multiple apps, just not multiple apps enabling the GPS. And my final dislike, and this is more of a message to tech makers across the globe. I know you will continue to make money no matter what devices you create, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. Here's the bottom line with this watch. It's a glorified notification device for your smartphone. It's also got some sport apps built in. As I mentioned at the beginning of this review, yes, I am one that loves new technology and really cool things. There are some cool things with this, but I'm also not the kind of guy that necessarily needs text message notifications on my wrist or to be able to talk into my wrist when I already have my phone in my pocket to make calls, to receive and send texts, take photos. I'd rather do that all on my Apple iPhone than on my Apple Watch. If you are in the market for a touchscreen app-enabled watch that has some running functionality built in, sure, this is a great option. But if you want accurate data that you can trust time and time again, you gotta find another option. In fact, I've included links to a bunch of other options in the description of this video, all for less money than this. Not nearly as fancy, not nearly as flashy, but they get the job done. So feel free to check those out. And that is it for dislike. I mean, there's probably more, but honestly, I gotta package this thing up and send it back, because that is what I am doing. I'm disappointed. I was hoping to be wowed by the technology, but really it just feels kind of gimmicky to me. That's an expensive gimmick. I am prepared for Apple Watch Series 3 to wow me. I know that the technology will continue to grow, so hopefully in the next version, they do something wild and extreme. Let's get on with the points. Some of these categories may not necessarily be applicable, but we're gonna try this anyways. Quality, I'm gonna give it 2 out of 5. I think the build quality is actually great. I think it's super light, it fits well. Sometimes you forget you have it on your wrist, which is nice. But man, so many glitches. Comfort, 3 out of 5. It's light. It feels great on your wrist. The vibration is actually really great. You will know every time you hit a mile marker or any of those other little notifications that you enable with the vibration. Price at $369 in the 38mm version, I gotta give it 3 out of 5. I mean, as far as a sport watch is concerned, that's pretty high priced, but with all of the apps enabled, and there's probably something out there for everyone that you can enable on this watch, the price point's like right in the middle, so 3 out of 5. And finally, looks, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5. I think it's a good looking watch. It's obviously very fancy. I will judge you if I see one on your wrist. The screen is great. I think the Nike Plus bands are actually better looking than some of the Apple versions. But again, only get the 42mm version. Don't even bother with the 38mm, but that's also gonna raise the price. Whew, boy. That brings our grand total to 11 out of 20. Not a great score. Wasn't really pleased with my experience with it. Technology's cool, but man, trust is important. So finally, is it a buy, try, or a why? Full on why. I want you guys to tell me why you would get the Apple Watch Series 2 in the comments of this video. Seriously, sell me on it. I've got maybe 24 hours before I have to put this thing in the mail and get it gone. If you want to find out any more about the Apple Watch Series 2 or the other watches I talked about today, I again have links in the description where you can find out more details, specifics, all that good stuff. And that is it for today's review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a bit of a doozy. If you like this review, make sure that you like, favorite, and subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/thegingerrunner. And as always, I have plenty of social media links for you to follow. They're all over there. And if you like this review and you want to help keep the lights on and the mics hot, you can always support us over at patreon.com/thegingerrunner. And that, my friends, is it for today's review. I hope you guys are getting out there training hard, racing harder, and partying the hardest. I know I am. I appreciate you. You guys are fantastic. We'll see you next week with the big surprise video. Bye.